Hi, my name is still David, I'm a magician and this is the next 5 top acts out of 10 from Fool Us Season 1. If you haven't seen the first 5 already, well check out this video, otherwise let's continue with number 6.
Romany.
Romany appears on episode 4 and calls herself the Diva of Magic, which is hard to contest given that there are so few females in this industry. Although I'm pretty sure there's plenty of male divas in this magic industry. Her style is stage magic, comedy, cabaret and showgirl, all bundled together in a fancy feathered hat. Romany gets herself all tied up, which results in some comedy byplay given the situation is a man tying up a woman. But instead of escaping, she does something impossible with the man's jacket. In this case, the man is the host and comedian Jonathan Ross, who adds some extra laugh lines of his own as a result of this. Although watching it back now, you realise how inappropriate some of those lines are from Mr. Jonathan Ross. Once again, like previous magicians, after watching Romany's act, you want to see more of what her show would be like. And Romany makes it feel like her show would be quite different from other magicians. I also like the final visual, where Romany is still tied up but dressed differently, and the man is left vulnerable and lost as to what to do. Although that could just be Jonathan Ross's natural look. Romany is in control despite being all tied up, and to be able to walk in heels with your ankles tied together over a piece of cloth without tripping, that's a feat in itself. The speed in which she's able to change clothes is very impressive, so watch out for that and timing. I'm sure Jonathan Ross felt something, but at the same time had no idea what was going on given Romany was all tied up, so that adds an extra level of mystery for the person involved. Romany is a speaker, performer, and if there wasn't a pandemic, entertainer on luxury cruise liners. If you want to know more about Romany, well, my friend Brendan Rodriguez in the UK did an interview with her during a magic convention, which I'll link in the description below so that you can check out.
Cubic act.
On episode 5, 2 men, and as you'll discover throughout the act, 1 woman perform a strange illusion with a floating white box. There's no talking, just music, lighting, shadows, and intrigue. I like this act because it's different, and the progression of the act is just so good. You know, it floats and then weird things happen when you reach inside. There's a surprise when the woman pops out and the cube then falls, floats, and how is it doing this with a woman still inside? It goes on long enough with different things happening to keep you questioning how things are done, but due to the magical nature of the act, you'll never know how it's done, and that's okay. To be honest with you, I don't know exactly how this box works, but I don't have a need to know. It's just fun seeing all these fun and weird things happening. But the attention to detail is just so good. Like when the man reaches his hand through the box and it comes out the other side with his sleeves correctly black, but at the end of the routine when the woman comes out she's all dressed in white. Wow. If you don't know what I mean by that, then don't worry. But it's fun to think about the story that they're trying to tell, and what job were these 2 guys doing to begin with when they put a light at the box? Let me know in the comments, and their funniest answers to the job will get a chuckle out of me. There's not much recent information I could find about them online, but it seems they continue performing, but I don't think the Cubic act are performing anymore? I don't know. They all appear to be involved in the world of magic and performance art, although I could be completely wrong because it's all in French and Google Translate can only get you so far.
Gazzo.
Gazzo is a busker, street performer, and probably the best known magic busker around, who appeared on episode 6, performing his signature cups and balls routine. If you're going to watch Gazzo perform, it's probably best to do so when he's on the street busking, because he'd be in his element, interacting with the crowd, yelling at people, cracking jokes, all the while earning your money. Here on Fool Us, he's on a stage, and the audience is seated far away from him, so it's a bit awkward for him to call people out, but he doesn't let this stop him from being Gazzo.
Take out the balls. Are they in there?
No.
Of course they're not, you silly Wally. Sit down.
That said, any magician looking to learn the cups and balls routine will eventually come across Gazzo's version, and his is one of the best, as noted by Penn & Teller. It was once said that you can tell how good a magician was based on how they performed the cups and balls routine. By that standard, I would be a horrible magician because I don't perform the routine at all. But here, Gazzo is so comfortable with the routine that he could perform it with his eyes closed if he wanted to. There's no rushing or tension in his movements, just pure confidence and muscle memory from doing this over and over again. It's better to find a version where he's performing this on the street. That way you get to appreciate the street show aspect of this routine. Gazzo lives in the US now and continues to street perform, even though he doesn't need to, which shows you how passionate he is about magic and street performing. That or he just wants to go out, make jokes and yell at people.
Sean Farquhar.
Sean Farquhar is the only Canadian to be featured on season 1 of Fool Us, in this case on episode 7. He fools Penn and Teller with a card trick on steroids. I remember seeing this for the first time and just being mind blown as to how it was possible. Sean's personality on stage is like a kid high on sugar, fast talking and just excited about whatever he's doing. He comes across as a nice guy, which when you're from Canada makes sense, and the trick of a signed card reappearing in a sealed deck of playing cards is just impossible. I also remember Cyril Takayama doing something similar at the time with sealed decks, and then all of a sudden the magic market was flooded with all these sealed deck tricks to buy. But Sean's version has stood the test of time as being both practical and all around good. And I think Patrick Kuhn in his America's Got Talent audition based his routine partly on Sean's version also, or at least some elements of it. In an interview that Sean did, he mentions that were he to do the trick again, he wouldn't use Penn, as Penn is very tall and that allowed him to spot a deck switch, which Penn mentions. I won't tell you when the switch happened, but I'll leave it to you to see if you can spot it, just like Penn did. I also like knowing that there's a deck switch didn't help Penn and Teller deduce how the trick ultimately worked. Sean continues to love and perform magic, and he's also started focusing on his YouTube channel as well. I'll leave a link to the description below to his channel so you can check it out and see what he has. If you're enjoying this video, me talking about magic, consider liking and subscribing as well. That way I know that I'm doing something people want to see.
Martin Daniels.
Everyone in the UK knows who Paul Daniels is, and to some he's even bigger than David Copperfield. In the final episode of season 1, Paul Daniels' son, Martin, performs a stage illusion with a nice surprise at the end. This act was never meant to fool Penn and Teller, and that's part of why I like it as well. It was a celebration of magic and one of the biggest names in magic, Paul Daniels. Even though I wasn't old enough to see his show on television, not that we got it in Australia, I saw the impact that he had on the people of England. I once did a gig where some of the guests were from London and I asked the group to name a magician, and some of them named David Copperfield, but the ones from London instantly named Paul Daniels. Anyways, this is a dramatic illusion with all the tropes you would expect in a stage illusion. Levitations, vanishes, reappearance, and finally the surprise of an extra transposition. In the words of Paul Daniels, you'll like this. Not a lot, but you'll like it. There's not much to look out for in this particular act that would stand out in some flashy sort of way, but just look out for the reaction at the end with the final reveal and enjoy. Paul Daniels sadly passed away in 2016. His son Martin continues to perform his own brand of comedy magic, but ultimately I chose this because of Paul Daniels. So there's my list from season 1. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are and who you would have had in your top 10. Now there are a lot of other excellent acts to include on this list if it was longer, but here are some of the other magicians whose work I enjoy, in alphabetical order. Alan Warrison, Benjamin Earl, Brynolf and Young, Colin MacLeod before he became Colin Cloud, Daniel Madison before he tattooed himself all over, Etienne Predier, John Allen, Laura London, Lee Hathaway, Matthew Bish, Spiffing Chaps Morgan and West, and Shoma. I plan to do the same with the other seasons, so give me some time as I rewatch them all. Until next time, breathe out with your mouth and have a magical day.